And as we mentioned, the Biden administration faces another crisis amid a growing backlog in the global supply chain. The president announced new measures with ports and major shippers to ease the strain.
This is across the board commitment to going to 24/7. This is a big first step in speeding up the movement of materials and goods through our supply chain.
But with consumer demand growing, factories struggling to keep up, and a shortage of workers from the ports to truck drivers, there is little relief in sight. We traveled to the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, where 40% of all cargo goods enter the U.S., to see for ourselves. Here off the coast of Southern California, on the waters of the country's busiest ports, record numbers of container ships sitting idle. Right now in the port of Long Beach, there are more than 60 container ships anchored here waiting to unload. Normally, there wouldn't be any of them waiting, and those are just the ones you can see. Way out in the Pacific, there are dozens more. On board these ships, that couch you ordered, computers, refrigerators, medical supplies, and toys, hoping to reach Santa in time for Christmas.
Martha, I have never seen anything like this. This is actually one of the smaller ships. The largest ships in service today can carry up to 24,000 container units.
And what would that mean in terms of goods?
That could fill 3 shopping malls.
Long Beach Port's Deputy Executive Director Noel Hasagaba said it all began with COVID. Was this something that just wasn't planned for?
Well, the pandemic had the effect of impacting every segment of the supply chain. When manufacturing was shut down in Asia, we had very little business here. Starting in July, we noticed this surge, this tsunami of cargo. So we went from doom and gloom to fast and furious on a term of a dime, and that caught the supply chain off guard.
When the economy began showing signs of improvement, consumer demand, online shopping already thriving, grew as well. The Port of Los Angeles is averaging around 900,000 containers per month, projecting 10.8 million this year, a 17% increase from 2020, with no signs of incoming ships slowing down. But even if they are lucky enough to get into the port, hello, they sit and wait in this cargo campground. You've been here for a month? Yes. Long time. It's taking 3 times longer to clear vessels at the ports compared to before the pandemic. And the Long Beach port is already working 24/7.
Start to order now.
Matt Schrapp, CEO of the Harbor Trucking Association, says working 24/7 won't solve everything.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to the hope for the elect, pushing this word in truth and sincerity, hoping to receive mercy from Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Yahweh is the name of our Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahushai is the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Latinos, we are the Israelites. That's according to the prophecies of the Holy Scriptures. This is the brother Shamar from the GMS Jamaica camp. And famine is coming, man. Famine is definitely coming. You can see it's being set up with a breakdown in the supply chain. And the real reason why we men of the Lord, starting from the apostles on down, know that famine is coming is because the scriptures prophesy that famine is coming, right? And we're seeing that this famine is a man-made famine, I should say. It's a man-made famine, right? It's policy of man that's going to cause this famine to plague the earth, all right? But at the end of the day, it's the prophecy being fulfilled. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, gave us these words, and they're coming to pass. So a lot of people thought they were in good case, right? Because things were so cheap. This is 2 Ezra 16 verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Victuals meaning food or services. Things are convenient, cheap, affordable, If you're talking about, fast food, if you're talking about you just going into the supermarket or the store and things that you need, your meat, your fruit, your rice, your water, they're all there at relatively cheap prices. So, when you see the men of the Lord prophesying in the highways or hedges, or you come across our videos on the internet, okay, you're thinking that we're just doomsday, doom and gloom people, man. But you don't know that we're actually warning you of things that would shortly come to pass. And now we're seeing that these things are being set up. These things that the men of the Lord were teaching about the famine, and other things like the MOTB, the mandatory implementation of the MOTB. You can see that is being set up right now by the powers that be. You can see the wars and rumors of wars. Just a headline that the other day, a couple of days ago, saying Russia has pulled out of an agreement, right, with NATO. So we're seeing these things happening. So when everything was cheap, everybody thought everything was all good. There's no reason to listen to the men of the Lord prophesying about evil times, about bad times coming, about famine coming, right? So reading on. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. So even when things were very cheap and everybody thought it was all good, evils were being multiplied across the earth. Homosexuality was being multiplied across the earth. All right? Like all sorts of idolatry was being increased across the earth. All sorts of things that go contrary to the scriptures were being increased across the earth. Right? Verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. All right? And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. The modern day sword is the gun. Right? The sword is just is a weapon, man. A killing instrument. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. And one of the main things we're seeing that's gonna cause this famine, as we could see in the video, is the supply chain being broken down, man. And it wasn't in this video, but I heard a comment, I believe, from if it wasn't the press secretary, it was someone to do with the U.S. government, saying that the only way to come out of this supply chain crisis is for everyone to be, jabbed up. That's the only way, right? So we see what's going on. We see that this famine is being implemented or put on the people as a punishment, man, for not being Beetlejuiced. And that's the methods of the devil, man. Romans 13 verse 11, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than we believed. Right? And our salvation is the salvation of the Israelites. Who is our salvation? Yahweh Shai. All right? Why we know that our salvation is closer than we believe? We're seeing the things that Yahweh Shai asks us to look out for coming to pass. Right? And one of the big things that we're talking about in this particular lesson that I pray is edifying is the famine. All right? We're seeing the famine being set up. Just think about it for a second. If all those shipping containers, are not being moved and they're just stuck at the wharf, they're stuck at the docks, right? That means the stores are not being restocked, right? In a place like Jamaica, so-called Jamaica, where I am, over 90% of the goods, the food stuff are imported, okay? So if the imports are not flowing like they usually do, right, that means the stores are not going to be restocked like they usually are. That means the limited stock that does get through, the limited supplies that get through, are going to be increased in price because there's less supply. The demand for the food is going to remain the same, but because of the lack of supply, the prices are going up. And everyone who's shopping nowadays can see the prices are just going up and up and up. Every time they return to the store, the prices increase. This is the famine setting in, man. So now it's high time to awake out of sleep, because the things that the Lord Yahweh Shai told us to look out for, they're coming to pass. That means our salvation is nearer than we believe. And let's prove that Yahweh Shai is our salvation, man. This is Hebrews 2 verse 10. For it became him. Right. This speaking of Yahweh Shai, for whom are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through suffering. Through suffering, Slakia. So Yahweh Shai is that captain of our salvation, man. Our salvation is nearer than what we believed. And that salvation is Yahweh Shai making his return, man. Right? Yahweh Shai is almost here. So I'll wrap up with this lesson. This is Baruch 2, verse 1. Therefore the Lord hath made good his word when he pronounced against us, which he pronounced against us, and against our judges that judged Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah, to bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses, that a man should eat the flesh of his own son and the flesh of his own daughter. And this is literal. There's nothing new under the sun. So I brought out this precept to say that, hey, if you can picture what will happen in a famine with just a lack of food, there's going to become a point where cannibalism is going to come back in a big way, where people who think that they're righteous, people that think that they're upstanding people in society, they're going to justify in their mind why it is right to eat another human's flesh. They're going to start to make justifications in their mind to do that. So a serious famine is approaching, man. Biblical level, and a level that has never been seen on earth before. It's going to cause people to cannibalize each other, right? And all of that is gonna lead up right up until Yahweh Shai makes his return, man. So yeah, famine is coming. So make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, because our salvation is nearer than you believe. It's time to wake up. Hopefully this lesson is edifying. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem HaKakodash, for giving the spirit to do this lesson. Shalom to the elect.